a new survey suggests that good governance and the performance of government institutions are becoming increasingly important for voters. Well, we know that in the past elections, loyalty to the ANC mattered more than government performance and trust in public institutions. But this seems to be changing, according to a study that was commissioned by the University of Johannesburg. More than 3,000 people were interviewed in the first part of the study last year. Now, Professor Leila Patel, Director of University of Johannesburg Center for Social Development in Africa, is joining us now here on our couch on Morning News today to talk about this survey. Prof, good morning. Thank you very much for coming in on this Monday morning. Very interesting survey. We are into that season now of polls and survey ahead of the elections, even if we don't know when that election date is going to be next year, but we know it's going to come. Your research has been focusing on something different, not on numbers.
Yes.
And that's really what you've been focusing on perceptions, on how people are perceiving the landscape politically. Any changes? What are the major changes you found?
So you're right to say that our research is about understanding what drives or influences people's voting. What do people think about what matters to them as they make up their minds going to forward to the national elections next year. So we see a decline in party loyalty, which is we framed it as support for the party that brought democracy and freedom to South Africa. And there's a decline there. It's down to 35% in our survey. What mattered more to people was their trust in a party, whichever party they chose, that the party would bring a difference, make a difference to people's lives, and that the party belonged to everyone.
Now, if there's about trust, and in my intro we mentioned good governance, are they linking trust to good governance, or are they linking it to service delivery, for example?
Yeah, I think it's both. It's trust in institutions, it's socioeconomic well-being, about jobs, income, housing, for example, and corruption. Those were the three main ones. We ran a statistical model where we put all these different factors into the model, and party loyalty did not feature as a significant factor in people's decision making.
Demographically, more than 3,000 people are being interviewed. It's the first phase of your study. I'm sure we'll hear more of what comes out of the second one. What is coming to the second one? Is it younger people who have this kind of view, or is it the older generation, like some of us, who are still a little bit sentimental and nostalgic about the old days, or is it across the various demographics?
Very interesting. Age didn't matter. Race did matter, of course. We know that people still continue to vote along racial lines for particular political parties. Income didn't matter. Employment didn't matter. But these factors were very important. But gender mattered. So more women are less likely to vote for the ANC in the upcoming elections than in the past, than in, say, 2016. It was more for the ANC, more women voted for the ANC then, and the DA, for example, in 2016. And also, but more men voted for the EFF, which is interesting. But in this round, we're seeing now that women are certainly more discerning about their votes.
What do you think would be driving that? Any idea coming out of the research why would women be really more discerning compared to past years?
I think it's these three issues, which is about governance, trust in institutions, the socioeconomic well-being. Women are the ones who are daily carry the burden and responsibility of care in the home. They are the ones who see food prices going up. But more so, women have higher rates of unemployment than men, for example.
Yeah, and we know in our country, sadly, tragically, still the victims of gender-based violence, as we've been hearing.
Yes.
Now, in terms of institutions, what can you share with us? Which institutions sort of stand out? I mean, I would use an example to say when Thuli Madonsela was public protector, I would guess if you were doing the survey at the time, people would say public protector is one of those institutions that we think we can trust.
Yes. So we asked a range we gave a range of options. But the trust, there's fairly high levels of trust interestingly expressed in public institutions, the courts, the media, and so on. SASSA And so Department of Social Development, even though, you know, last year there's been a lot of the crisis, the SASSA crisis with grant payments. So we see there was a fair kind of degree of trust there, but lower levels of trust for the police and also Parliament. So in relation to the police, it seems that the fact that safety and security issues are a big factor for voters. And also Parliament, you know, the extent to which Parliament is perceived to be holding public office bearers to account seems to be a factor as well.
Okay, Prof, interesting. We'll keep on talking to you, I'm sure, as more results come out as you reveal the study. This was just the first part. That's Professor Leila Patel, Director of University of Johannesburg Centre for Social Development.